Oh,
Hey Ronnie, how are you?
I just got to check a few things. Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you. I'm fine. I just went to, I have like like a stiff neck when you've done something wrong, so I just went to a physiotherapist.
Um,
So work a little bit on it. But besides that, I'm good. Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you.
that's good. And happy late birthday, by the way.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You had a good day. You had a good birthday last week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I had a hectic weekend, with all kinds of stuff. So, but, yeah, I mean, every birthday is worth celebrating in my case. So
Yeah,
I'm happy every time I turn a year older,
yeah,
for
that's
sure.
good. And elsewise, always everything is, you take a day at a time, like everyone.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I've just been touring a bit, before my birthday. Did a couple of gigs up here in Scandinavia, Germany, just 6 shows or something like that, just to check myself out,
Yeah,
where I was at, but it went very well. So
yeah,
I'm confident. I'm happy. So
yeah,
hopefully a lot more touring next year.
yeah. I think the last time I saw you was with Avantasia at Bloodstock. So,
Okay.
so that was like a few years ago already.
That's 10 years ago, actually. I think it
Yeah,
was 2013 or something like that, right?
yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, and previous to that, I think I saw you once with Pretty Maids in Spain at the festival. I think Manowar were headlining. You had Immortal, Moonspell, Candlemass, Dark Tranquility, and I think
Okay.
you guys played early in the day as well or something. So, or something like
We,
that. I don't know. It was a long, long time ago.
what it's got to be 2007 or something.
Yeah, 2000 and yeah, around that. Yeah,
We did a couple of these one-day festivals and stuff like that in Spain at the time. So, yeah, it's a
yeah,
long time
yeah.
for sure.
And when it comes to music, you've been pretty busy as well. With Trinity, it's the third record in 3 years. That's very old school. Bands
Hmm.
don't do that anymore.
No, that's true. But yeah, but I mean, it's a combination for me. When I got hit by cancer, which I'm sure you know
Yeah,
about back then. So, as I said in numerous interviews, that was my way of focusing on something good, to
yeah,
not to think too much about things. And at the same time, we had the lockdown, the Corona thing,
yeah,
and I just had a lot of ideas and counting, and keep, writing songs these days. And I just felt that I wanted to get it out of my system.
yeah,
So that's why. And pretty much staying to my musical roots, so to speak. Kind of, it's not too far away from Pretty Mates. Probably a little bit more melodic, maybe a little bit more commercial. Some of the songs, but it's been good for me to do these albums. I'm very happy, and so far, they all really had a good reception from fans and critics. So. I can't complain.
yeah.
That of course is always nice.
Yeah. When you write, it's always good to keep the momentum. Is that the case with you when you're writing? You just want to keep on writing, or is there any time that you just get tired of it and you just want to do nothing?
Well, I haven't been doing much lately, but still, every week there's some ideas pop up, and I just record it on my iPhone. But I'm like, if I decide on, okay, let's do an album, and I have some kind of a deadline, and when I start focusing on it, I don't know where it comes from, but then it just comes, man, and then we just go ahead, and it happens pretty fast, actually, most of the time. But sometimes you can write a song in. I have some good examples on a couple of songs from the Trinity album, like the title track, which was one of the last songs that was actually the last song that was written. I went to a 50 years birthday reception, and just to deliver 2 bottles of wine, I was there for an hour. Then I was picked up by my wife and some friends because we were going to see a concert, and while I was down there, I just had the idea for Trinity, the chorus on the way out of the bar, So that song is written in a bar, I don't know why it comes exactly there. I wasn't drunk or anything,
Yeah.
But I just had this melody, the chorus of Trinity. And I called my wife, hey man, hang on, wait 5 minutes. I've got to go into back in the yard or something and mime it and sing it into my iPhone. What If, which is one of the ballads on the album, the same thing. I was driving my wife to work one morning, and I just had that melody and idea again for the chorus and the words actually as well, So it comes in the most weird times, Sometimes if you're having dinner with friends, I might say, I got to leave the meeting here, for 10 minutes, and then I'll go upstairs to my piano or my guitar, where my guitar is and stuff, and just record it when I get the ideas. And then you can work on it the day after.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Is it those ideas are normally like the best because, I remember years ago when I used to play guitar and stuff that I would wake up in the middle of the night with an idea. And, sometimes I would just go back to sleep and say, I'll remember in the morning. Yeah.
Right.
Gone.
That's it. And that's why I do it, because then they're gone,
Yeah.
And normally it's normally the songs that you cook. Let's just say you write the core of the songs in 5-10 minutes. That normally turns out to be the best, Sometimes you can work on a song where maybe you think you got a great chorus, but you can't find the right verse or the right bridge or the right middle eight. And you can work on it for a month or more, and then it doesn't really end up the way you wanted it anyway.
Yeah.
So I always, and also in all my time when I wrote with Ken Hammer and Pretty Maids, it was always the songs that we wrote in 5, 10, 15 minutes. That was normally the best songs, actually.
Yeah. And, apart from those ideas that show up in the most, uncommon place, do you like the pressure of having to write music, or that doesn't, bond well with you?
Well, it's if you're inspired and you got the fire, and if you're in the mood to do it, which I've been for the last couple of years, it's great. It's great. But as I said, it depends if that's what I want to do. I always keep writing. I got like 450 ideas on my iPhone, which are potentially something I could use for something. You know. And I got some really good. Actually, we already got some recordings, but I haven't decided on when to put out a new album, because next year I think I hope I'll tour. We're going to go back with Pretty Maids, do a couple of shows, and I'll be touring with my own band as well and doing festivals and stuff, and probably go out with Avantasia at least on some of the gigs, But let's see. I don't know yet, but so I don't really have any plans. Then again, I have April, May. What am I going to do in April, May, or January? I'll probably record some stuff.
Yeah, and for Trinity, I know I was reading on the press that you wrote mainly on the guitar. Was that like intentional, or was just the moment that you were living that made you grab the guitar and write songs on it?
Yeah, it was. I was just sitting fiddling around with the guitar, and I got the riff from Forgotless and Ode to a Madman, stuff like that. Shine, some of these, and actually Raining Fire as well, which was an old riff, and I was just fiddling around with it. And then everything sort of just fall into place, and so it wasn't really intentional. I mean, but it varies. If you write on a guitar, it just gets more heavy. You write on a distorted guitar. If I write on a piano, that's normally where the ballads come, right? But also heavy stuff I can write on a piano. But I played on the piano. I'm not a great pianist. I'm not a great piano player. I'm not a great guitarist, but I'm good enough to write music. And if I can't play it myself, I can mime it into my iPhone, and I've got good friends who can play it for me.
Yeah. Well, that's, that's good. And, with this Trinity, like it's some kind of a trilogy of records, if we can say, from you. You have already ideas. You have said that you don't know if it's going to be a solo record or if they're going to be for something else. But if you're going to do a next album, a next solo, Ronnie Atkins record, do you have an idea what direction would you like to take it? Since, these 3 records are a bit different from one another. This one obviously ends up being the heavier one, but would you like for the next Ronnie Atkins album to be heavier, more balladish, or a mix of everything?
Well, I can't say now, because sometimes, the main thing for me is a good hook line, or a good riff. good chorus, right? Good song, and basically, in generally, you can take a song, you can write a good song on an acoustic guitar, and it sounds good, and I keep working on it, then I know it's going to be good. And then you just got to decide, okay, where are we going to go with this? Because you can produce it into whatever you want. It could be a pop song, but it can also be a metal song, a heavy song. So I have. It's not that I sit down and say now I want to do. I just see the songs will kind of tell me which direction I'm going, but I think I would probably go more like a combination of all three. I don't think they're that different, actually. I just think Trinity maybe is a little heavier. I'll probably likely continue that way. That's what I think.
How do you feel more comfortable? You obviously, with Pretty Maids, the melodies are, very important in any kind of music, at least in my opinion. The melody is very important. But what attracts you to the music? After all these years of making music, what still attracts you to it?
I think it's just something that basically, I think I wrote my first song when I was 10 years old. I've been in love with music in generally. I mean, I grew up, I got three siblings that are between 9 and 12 years older than me, so I grew up with a lot of stuff that they played, from a lot of 60s music, early 70s music. And I fell in love with music since I was, I don't know, since I can remember. I mean, some of the first songs I really remember is like songs from like 69, 70, like My Sweet Lord, with George Harrison, Hey Jude, the Beatles, Bee Gees, all kinds of stuff from late 60s, early 70s. And that probably had the biggest impact on me. And then I got into, kind of glam rock, with the Sweet Slate, T-Rex, and all this kind of stuff. And then later on into the more heavy stuff, metal, like all the Black Sabbath, which is probably one of my all-time favorite bands, and that kind of stuff. But I remember songs like the Immigrant Song, by Led Zeppelin. I remember that played on the radio when I was a little kid, and it took me years to find out who it was, actually. It wasn't until I was 15, 16 I found out it was Led Zeppelin. The same with Paranoid.
Yeah.
So, and that was also a big hit on the radio back then. But I just love creating. That's basically the best part of it all, is just creating a new song. Every time you create a new song, and because you kind of, and going on stage, performing it for fans and stuff like that. That's what I dreamed about since I was 10 years old. Make my own music, make my own record, and go out on stage and play it for people. I used to play in all kinds of cover bands before I joined Pretty Maids, but so it's a childhood dream come true, really.
Yeah. And I remember, I think, reading that when you played with cover bands, and just prior to when you joined Pretty Maids, and prior to guys starting, make your own music, there was a lot of Thin Lizzy in the covers that you guys did. What was for you the ultimate Thin Lizzy song, the one that it's you listen to and you say like, it's so freaking good?
Well, it's I like Thin Lizzy, but there was a lot of bands I liked more. Actually, when we joined, with Pretty Maids, we started playing. Kenny is a huge Thin Lizzy fan, right? So we played a lot of Lizzy covers back then. But before I joined Pretty Maids, I was actually I played a kind of more blues kind of stuff, rock, ZZ Top, old Free stuff, Bad Company kind of stuff. I was very young. I mean, I wasn't really great at singing R&B or blues or anything like that. But that's actually what the band I played in prior to that. So, but Thin Lizzy, yeah, of course I love them. One of them, it's a hot one. What's the best song? They did so many great songs. But I think all in all, I think they wrote one of the most beautiful love songs ever. Was probably Still in Love with You, from the Live and Dangerous version. I love that song.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of Thin Lizzy songs I love. It's a hard question.
Yeah, that's a lot of Thin Lizzy, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin. We can be speaking here for hours.
How can I possibly? I mean, Black Sabbath, Purple, Led Zeppelin. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you my favorite Black Sabbath song. I mean, it's I mean, the first 6 Black Sabbath albums with Ozzy, I think is the best. Some of the best albums in my hard rock sphere. I think Ozzy was a great melody maker. So. What I really miss these days is that I really like, when you hear a band and you instantly know that's the band because you can identify the vocalist. I mean, maybe Ozzy is not the best technical singer, but who gives a fuck? He's a great melody maker, and he has got a very charismatic voice.
Yeah.
Same thing with Freddie Mercury. If I had to pick a favorite singer, Queen. I love Queen. I grew up with Queen in the 70s. That's what I miss today, on the radio and all the bands that comes out. I miss some new band with a very unique voice or something like that pops up. It's always great when it does.
Yeah. Did you think that the problem these days is there's too much music being made, and the way that we consume music as well? It's very different from back in the day. I'm from that time where I would have to listen to the radio to get new artists, but nowadays with Spotify and Apple Music, they would just suggest an artist similar to something that you listen, and you go through that. But the magic of discovering like a unique artist, I think it's pretty much gone. I don't know if it's to do with the identity of, because a lot of new bands, they copy one another, and they hardly create their own identity as well.
Yeah. I miss that. I think, to be honestly, and I don't want to put anybody down, but I really think that there's too much. It's more quantity than quality at the moment. That's just how I personally feel. I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody else, but I really miss something where you say, wow, something we need to shake the bag. It's like if you listen to the radio here in Denmark, right, or the pop music channels, I couldn't tell the difference on who is who because they all sound the fucking same because it's all through an auto tune, a melody. It's got no character. But also in hard rock and metal, there's so many bands that play. It's really difficult for me sometimes to tell the difference between some of these bands.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because thinking about it, you could recognize when Jimmy Page was playing the guitar. You could recognize Richie Blackmore, or Ian Gillan, or for instance Michael Schenker as a guitar player. You can recognize his style, and it's Michael Schenker. But as you were saying, with bands these days, there's so many groups. I work a lot with Swedish musicians, and on my albums as well. So, on every fucking street corner in Sweden, you got like an Yngwie Malmsteen in speed. Yeah.
I mean, there's so many great musicians, absolutely. But sometimes it just needs sound, something that you can always, as you said, you can hear if it's Jimmy Page or you can hear if it's Richie Blackmore, But of course, it's done, and they did it first. Eddie Van Halen, just to mention one, rest in peace. But it's true. I need some identity, something that somebody that has their own kind of trademark, their own kind of sound. Sometimes guitarists, vocalists, whatsoever.
Yeah.
I miss that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is we have that music to listen to and to remember in a way. I still go. I say this a lot in interviews because it's true. I still go back to Made in Japan from Deep Purple because after 50 years, it sounds fresh to this day.
I mean, listen to the musicianship on that album. It's funny you mentioned because that's the overall best hard rock album ever done live. I mean, the way they played, the interaction on stage and stuff musically, and it was just such a great band. It was a band on top of their game back then, And I there's a couple of other good live albums I love, but Deep Purple and Made in Japan is my all-time favorite live album. Seriously, simple as that, And they were on fire. Back there in 1972, right?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And you mentioned Pretty Maids playing some shows next year. New music as well, or you just prefer to go for play some live shows and see what happens after?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're planning on a few selected Pretty Maids shows. It's not going to be a hell of a lot, I think. We're going to do maybe 5-6 festivals during the summer or something. Yeah. Then I got some festivals on my own, and then I might go out, as I said, with Avantasia. It depends on how much it conflicts, with our individual schedules. Yeah. But let's see. I hope I'll be able to. I love doing Avantasia. And I more or less committed to it, but also. now, since the things are what they are, and Pretty Maids, the opportunity came there. We got some really good offers, and we haven't played together since 2019. I know there's a lot of fans out there that want to, see the band again, at least to make some kind of closure. It all ended up in a wrong way, because I got sick, and while I was sick, I couldn't do shit for 6 months, and in that time, we released a new album. We never had the chance to tour with it. Then came the lockdown. So we just want to go out and, play a couple of shows. How much it's going to be, I don't know. I don't know how much more we're going to do. We might continue. I don't know. Yeah. But it all depends a little bit on my health as well,
Yeah.
So I just think I've been releasing a lot of music the last couple of years, and now I just feel like 2024, I intend to do a lot more live shows. I'd really love to do that. Because I like the close encounter with the fans, whether it's a big festival with 50,000 or it's 200 people in a club. I don't care. I mean, I like them both, actually. So, but let's see. I mean, I'll likely record some stuff next year. I can't imagine I won't.
Yeah. If you want to do with your solo band a show in Portugal, just let me know, because I know there is a promoter there's very interested in bringing you to Portugal to play. Pretty Maids or solo, he wants you to be here. So if you're willing, just tell me how, and I'll just pass the contact, and he will try to bring you to Portugal to play.
Do it, man. Do it. I never played in Portugal. Neither did we. Never played in Portugal.
I know.
I've been in Portugal once, and it was great. I mean, I was in Lisbon in 2018 with some friends, and we had a hell of a good time, 4 or 5 days. That was the only time I ever was in Portugal. Yeah. So, hey, man, tell your promoter to contact our management. It's bottom row in Germany, or Nicholas Croft. So we'll go. I mean, I'd love to go there and play. Sure.
Yeah. I will just pass the message and say, because, it's one of those things, with life, with everything that goes on, we never know, what the fuck is going to happen, if there's another pandemic, if everything is going to close down, if you're going to live in a zombie world.
No, that's true. How would we know what's going to happen these days? It's like every time you turn on the news, it's just bad news, bad news, bad news. Yeah. I mean, all the climate thing and all the war shit that goes on in Ukraine and now in Gaza, it's horrible news. Yeah. That's when we got rock and roll to make people happy. That's what we should do. Yeah. But talking about touring, you probably heard this before, you probably already know, but I mean, I just did like a couple of gigs. I actually wanted to do some more gigs, but these days touring is so goddamn expensive since the lockdown, like all the expenses just took off, but the fees didn't. So, it's really, it's a balance thing to make it happen, really.
Yeah.
You got to compromise.
Yeah. And, from your experience playing live shows, and what was for you the best shows, the highlights for you as an artist, as a musician, as a singer? What were the highlights for you playing shows from Pretty Maids, Avantasia? You guys played pretty much everywhere. What were the highlights for you so far? Because let's hope you still have much more highlights to talk about. But so far, what have been the best shows that you ever played?
It's a very difficult question, but I can say that, like, commercial, one of the most important shows we probably ever did was Monsters of Rock back in '87. When we played for like 65,000 people. That's just when the Future World album came out. Yeah. And, I'm not saying it's the best shows with it, but there are some memorable times that I remember. That one, it was our first time out really playing for a lot of people. We played with Saxon in '85 on a long tour and stuff like that. But that day I'll never forget. The first trip to Japan I'll never forget, Did a lot of great gigs in Japan through the years. My first visit to South America with Avantasia and stuff like that, it's a crazy audience. I mean, you don't even have to sing, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, whatever, it's Mexico. Fabulous. I got toured there 3 times or something. It's always amazing. But Spain is great too. It's like, it's so much dedication. Now, I haven't played in Portugal, but it's difficult for me to say what the greatest gigs were. But as I said, I can enjoy. I just played some little clubs here, like 200-300 people with my own band up here. It was fantastic because people were so dedicated. But I also love playing, Wacken for 80,000 people. it's just two different things. But I like to do the more intimate gigs as well.
Yeah. What was ever any show that when something could go wrong, everything just went wrong?
Well, yeah, but there's been quite a few of those. I remember we played the Alcatraz Festival a couple of years ago, where everything just kind of technically broke down and shit like that. But that's what happens. I remember a very sad memory about that is actually when we were to play after we played this Monsters of Rock in Nuremberg in '87. We were to play the day after. We were supposed to play a place called Pforzheim, and we were on a roll. We were on fire. The band, Future World was doing really good. We were very successful, and we turned up the day after. We couldn't play because our gear truck was stuck in traffic. So we had to cancel that gig, and that really hurt because we were just standing there. All the other bands, Purple, Dio, Rat, Cinderella, Halloween, whoever was there, played, and we couldn't. That's one of the worst memories I have, where you say that everything that possibly could go wrong went wrong. That was a clusterfuck. It was really horrible. Yeah.
So for you, 2024, you will try to play as much live shows as possible and maybe make music. That's all you're thinking about.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll always write music because I can't stop writing music, But whether I'm going to release anything next year, I don't know. I don't think so. But then probably 2025. Well, let's see what happens. You never know. It wasn't my intention to put out an album in 2023, but I had all the time. I had the songs, and I said, "Let's roll, man." I actually told Francesca, no, I don't think I'll do anything in 2024. So they were quite surprised when I said, "Oh, do you want a new album?" Because now I actually got 12 songs here, 11, 12 songs. I said, "Yeah, sure, of course." So that's why.
Yeah. And if a project, interesting enough shows up, you might just say, let's do it.
Yeah, but I mean, I've been doing this Nordic Union thing and stuff for a couple of years. It's more like a studio project, but but let's see. I get quite a lot of offers to participate in this and that, but or be guest vocal on this and that. But I basically say no to most of it because I don't want to overexpose myself. It's not because I'm arrogant or anything, but it's just I don't want to be all around. I'd like to concentrate and kind of focus on what I do now. And of course, if something really interesting pops up, I might not say that. I might do it.
Yeah.
So let's see. But no plans right now.
No plans. Hopefully, next year I'll be able to see you with either Avantasia, Pretty Maids, or your solo band. Either way, I'll be happy to see you again. Because it's been a long time, as I said. Last time was with Avantasia at Bloodstock over 10 years ago. I need more.
Yeah, sure, man. But hey, tell that promoter dude to contact us. We'll come to Portugal.
Yes. Okay.
And have some great port wine.
Yes, we'll make that happen.
I love port wine, so I got to go to Portugal and play.
Yeah. And if you have like a day or two off, we go to Porto, where they have the port wines, the cellars and everything. We can do, a round trip on the cellars and do various tastings. I did that once in the morning without breakfast, and at 12, I could barely walk.
I believe that. We better take a taxi then.
Yeah.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah, it was. I think it's a great experience to go to Porto, in the north, and spend like a morning or an afternoon, wine tasting, like the port wine tastings. It's, it's a great experience.
On a day off, then.
Yeah, it has to be a day off. It has to be a day off.
I would love that. Absolutely.
Right, Ronnie, I'll annoy the promoter and I'll tell him to try to contact your management, Bottom Row, and then we'll see what happens. Maybe we can make a show happen in Lisbon or in Portugal somewhere, and we'll all be happy.
Porto.
Yes. Yeah, I'll just tell
very important.
Yeah. And the venue in Porto is actually very close to those port wine tastings. You just have to cross the river.
Well, then it's decided now. It's decided we go there, whether or not we're going to play or not.
Yeah, it's a deal then. I'll talk to the guy anyway. Ronnie, thank you very much for your time. All the best for Trinity. Avantasia, Pretty Maids, whatever you do, I'll keep an eye on it, and hopefully we can cross paths next year, in a festival or in a show somewhere. All right?
So, thanks a lot, man. Nice talking to you.
Thank you very much. Have a great day and see you soon. All right? All the best. Thank you. Thank you, Ronnie. Bye-bye.